Thank you very much for coming, and thank you to Action 22 for putting on this debate and for being a wonderful organization. You're exemplary of what we should be doing. You're working with counties and individuals, nonprofit organizations, county governments to find solutions, and that's what we really need to be talking about. You'll see that a lot of my platform talks about things that the federal government is doing that would be much more efficient if they were performed at a state and local level with state and local governments. This is where we can hold our representatives to be more transparent and more accountable. If you have an issue or a problem and you want to petition your grievances, it's much easier to walk into a county courthouse or go to the state capitol than it is to hop in a jet and fly to Washington, D.C. That being said, it is the age of technology, and our representatives have many tools at their fingertips that they're able to immediately communicate with constituents. I think that our representatives on all levels of government, but in this instant, the federal level of government should be much more transparent and much more accountable. Things like education policy, energy policy, agriculture policy, these are things that the federal government is trying to dictate. We have people, bureaucratic organizations and representatives in Washington, D.C. that are dictating policy that should be pushed down to a state and local level. Energy policy for Colorado is much different than for what's going on in New Mexico or Alabama or anywhere across the country. So why are we asking permission from the federal government? When it comes to creating more economic development, there is nothing that the government, the federal government, can do. Governments don't create jobs, they create regulation, and in essence, they're force. And so what we really need to do is focus on getting rid of the bureaucracy and the red tape that's causing these problems. If the federal government did focus on the things that it's supposed to be doing, like national security and monetary policy, these are things that would help and benefit our economy. Our economy is our greatest threat. We do have enemies, foreign and domestic, that want to hamper the American way of life and our ideals. And the thing that we need to focus on to make sure they can't do this is fixing the economy with our currency. Both Representative Tipton and Representative Pace, again, are very nice people. They're going to talk about legislation that they've passed or are going to introduce or that they've sponsored or co-sponsored. I'm here to tell you that there's really no piece of legislation that could be introduced in this Congress or the next that's going to enact immediate solutions. What we need to do is to find ways to cut the red tape, and if the federal government is unwilling to allow us to do that, how can we work with state and local governments to tell the federal government no? Representative Tipton said there's two paths that you can take. There's many paths that you can take. I'm running as an independent for this district because I believe that both political parties have become very corrupt. They say they stand for something, but when it comes to what they're actually doing in Washington, D.C., I think we can all feel by the amount, the 40% that most of our net worth has decreased, that maybe they're up to something that they shouldn't be. And we need representatives in office who are accountable to the people. My money that runs my campaign comes from individuals like you. I receive no special interest money, and when I go to Washington, D.C., that's who I'm going to be accountable to, are the individual people. So I hope that you ask me some questions that I might be able to answer, and thank you so much again for the opportunity to be here.